Hola amigos de Disrupt Fest 2025 Guatemala, bienvenidos a una conversación más. Hoy tenemos un tema muy especial con Andy. Vamos a hablar, uno pensaría que en negocios lo más importante son los números, pero también la espiritualidad es importante. Así que vamos a tener esta conversación, vamos a cambiar al inglés, pero todos sean bienvenidos. Andy, thank you for acceptance the invitation.
I'm honored.
First time in Guatemala.
Yep.
I just said in Spanish that one might think that numbers is the primary thing on business, but spirituality is highly important.
Absolutely.
So to get to know a little bit more on of you, let's start. Where do you grow up? Because we are going to talk about spirituality, but to get to know you better, we need to go to your childhood, right? So let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was born actually in USSR, and there was no spirituality in USSR. It was illegal. It was actually illegal to have religion in the USSR. So I didn't know about Judaism. I was Jewish, but nobody had any religion. First time I learned that I had religion was on the train out. I was 7 years old. On the train out from Ukraine to Czechoslovakia, my father told me, "Hey, you're Jewish." Like, what is that? It's the first time I learned about it. And then
7 years old.
7 years old, yeah.
Okay.
Didn't know anything. The only experience I had was like, there's kids chasing me. Some people knew I was Jewish. There weren't too many Jews, and there was a lot of anti-Semitism. So kids chased me once, but I didn't know why.
Yeah.
So we came out we went to Austria, then Italy, and then we made it to Detroit. And that's where I grew up until I was 21 in Detroit, and that's where I went to college. And then I moved to New York. Most of my life was in New York.
Okay.
And now I live in Miami. I moved to Latin America, finally.
Yeah. So quite of a ride from you.
Traveling Jew.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, we understand. Now, from the moment you started and heard your father that you were Jewish, do you kept your identity?
I went to Jewish school. I went to Hebrew school. I had a bar mitzvah. But we were more like cultural Jews. I didn't really find, when I went to school, I had a lot of questions. That's actually my journey began when I started asking questions. And I realized the teachers didn't have answers for the deep questions I was asking.
Wow.
They didn't have answers. So I kind of said, these people don't know anything. And so I left. Not that I left Judaism. I was still proud of being a Jew, and stuff, but I left religion. From the time I was about 13, I had my bar mitzvah, until I moved to New York.
Wow.
That's where I started studying. I learned about mysticism and spirituality in a very deep way. I discovered something called Kabbalah, which is mysticism that's been studied by Christians,
right,
by Muslims, by Jews. It's the one thing that connects everybody. And when I started learning that, finally, I could ask any question, and I could get an answer. And that's how my journey began.
Wow. So let's hold that conversation right there, and then let's move to your entrepreneurial experience. When did it start it, and how did it start it?
Very early. I was buying and selling things in high school. I was...
Me too.
Right? It's, make a few extra bucks. I was importing things, by paper. I had to fill out forms. I imported knives and things like that from Asia before anybody did. I was importing things. I was selling them, and then in college, I was teaching martial arts. I had started martial arts. I was also I learned some things about spirituality in martial arts. Not much, but they always talked about it. It wasn't the primary thing. But in martial arts, I was like an independent instructor. So I was always, I didn't want to have a job. I was really afraid to work 9 to 5.
Okay.
I was really afraid of it. So I was always an entrepreneur.
Right. And so how did you move from those first experiences now to coach entrepreneurs, coach executives?
Sure.
Now, how was the blend from the spirituality journey from your life mix with the entrepreneurial experience that you had?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when I started studying spirituality, and I learned all sorts of things, not just Kabbalah, but I started exploring different sort of Qigong, Zen, all these kind of things, and also a lot of personal development folks like Anthony Robbins and all these kind of people.
Yeah.
I saw, and Wayne Dwyer, I don't know if you know this, if he's from Detroit originally, I saw the connections between all of these personal development philosophies. And then I saw that when you really, ask the deep questions of all the really successful entrepreneurs, whether they learned it or they know it intuitively, they're very spiritual. They know there's something more there than just the physical.
Yeah.
They operate at a spiritual level, whatever that means. Not religious, but spiritual. You could be religious, but a lot of people, right, who are religious aren't spiritual.
Right.
And there's a lot of people who aren't, who are spiritual who maybe don't go to church. So I saw the connection, all these people, and that's where I started connecting the dots. As I started out, I after grad school in New York, I spent about a year and a half in corporate America, and of course, I didn't like it because you can't ask questions. Same thing like my school. You can't ask questions. You can't raise your hand and go, "Why are we doing it like that?"
Yeah.
Like, be quiet and do your work. So after about a year, I became a consultant, and by the way, because I was working from home since the '90s, so I know everybody works from home today.
Yeah.
But I was working from home in the '90s, and my father got restless soul. My parents, they were always like, "What do you do? You're at home. Well, what do you do? You're not working."
Yeah.
So they never understood it. But I saw that for instance, I saw that the mystical teachings of somebody like Moses, I saw him as kind of the ancient Tony Robbins. It's all personal development stuff. And all these books, like the one I gave you, the Zohar,
Yeah. And thank you.
these, of course, all of these spiritual books, when you look at the teachings in them, they're for everybody. They're not for Jews or Christians or Muslims or Hindus. They're for everybody, and they help you grow from the inside out. And so I started connecting the dots, and then as I started learning coaching, which is different than consulting, it's helping people grow, I saw, wow, the stuff in this ancient mysticism is so powerful, and it's so life-changing that today, and then when I started, I got a graduate degree, so I started teaching at the largest MBA program in New York, LIU, Long Island University.
Okay.
Huge business program. And I said, I'm going to take a risk. And I was teaching business communications. I said, I'm going to teach him Kabbalah. I'm going to teach him spirituality. I'm not going to call it that. I'm not going to say I'm teaching you spirituality.
Yeah.
I was teaching the principles, and I became the #1 professor in the largest MBA program, not because of me, but because I was teaching these philosophies, and all these students, and by the way, there were people there, right, in MBA programs who were, executives at banks and hospitals, they're coming back to take their MBA. So these are already sophisticated people. And they were like, wow, Andy, you're Professor Grinbaum, your stuff is so amazing. I'm like, read the ancient books, go deep. But I didn't tell them, some people are open, I told them.
Yeah.
But that's when I realized, so I became the #1 professor, right? Because all professors are graded. And I saw it wasn't me, it was this content. So that's when I knew I got it. This is what I need to teach executives. This is how I'm going to build companies using this stuff.
Wow, what a great concept. I want to take you right at the end to a message to the entrepreneurs. But first, let's go pre-pandemic and then let's go post-pandemic. Because I have to ask this question.
Sure.
You work with executives, small companies, big companies. So what is that, from those executives, what is what you are hearing from the spiritual point of view? What is their need? What is they're seeking pre-pandemic and post-pandemic? Because we got, all of us got a huge message after pandemic, right? So what is happening right now? What it comes to your ears?
Yeah, I would say, I think it was the same message. The most successful people, one of their attributes is being able to have personal responsibility. And that's becoming, unfortunately, less and less with the Gen Z, I have kids are Gen Z. The young workers today, they're taking less and less responsibility for their success. And that's something you can really learn from. You don't have to study mysticism. You can study Tony Robbins. You can study personal development, business, that kind of stuff. which is the same stuff. But that's what they're seeking. And I just think they're asking for it more because all these people coming in, they want things quick. They want it quick. They want it now.
Right.
And you have to have patience, which mysticism and spirituality can teach you. Meditation can teach you to be patient. Taking 5 minutes a day to meditate can calm you down.
Right.
And the executives and business owners, they're having such a hard time. There's like in the U.S., so I do a lot of work with foreign companies coming to the U.S.
Okay.
And I tell them, listen, I don't know how it is in Europe or wherever you are, in Poland or Guatemala or wherever you're coming from. At least in the U.S., very hard. There's so much potential here. And there's so much business. Very hard to find good employees, who are willing to come in at 8 in the morning, take personal responsibility for their success, and stay till 6 o'clock. That's what's missing.
Really?
And spirituality can definitely help with that, right?
Yeah.
The long game. You have to play the long game to be successful.
Are you seeing companies being more involved, like from the cultural point of view? Are they seeking to show everyone, all the employees all over spirituality?
Oh my God, yeah. That is something it's a great question. Totally changed. I'm here at a tech conference talking about spirituality.
Right.
You couldn't do that 10 years ago. They would kick me out.
Yes.
Like, nice to see you, bye. See you later.
Yeah.
Don't convert us.
Yeah.
That has totally changed, and everybody today has wellness programs. They even have benefits. They have health benefits where you can go seek out meditation. They have wellness programs.
Right.
People don't take advantage of it. But inside wellness, I ran a company for 7 years, Evolve 365 health coach. It was mostly health coaching, but we also did programs for personal development. And there was money for it. So big corporations have money. They have meditation rooms, like places like Google, right? They have their own meditation
wellness
rooms.
Yeah.
Well, so it's really amazing today. So I think it is changing. But people are also getting the wrong message. It's very open. But yes, part of spirituality is learning how to relax, right? How to meditate, connect to a higher power, whatever you call that. But the other part of it is looking at the stories of these great people from ancient times and seeing how hard they worked. And how much they actually suffered to become successful. Moses, Jesus, all these people, who we, right? It wasn't easy.
Sure.
And we have to take those lessons, and learn from them.
Right.
And Moses didn't become Moses overnight.
Yeah.
He worked for 80 years.
Yeah.
That's how you remember him.
Yes.
So, we need a little bit more Moses in corporate America.
Good.
Especially for the young people.
Yeah. So when your the idea of your institute was born, and what was that moment that came to your mind to build it?
That's first time I'm telling this publicly, and I hope the people who are involved don't listen to this podcast. So it's an amazing story. I actually I was working for a couple years, so I'm in coaching, and I've worked on different coaching companies and did my own coaching, and I hope my wife doesn't hear this either, because she'll it's done. First time. Anybody hear the story?
Okay.
Publicly.
Yeah.
So I was working for a couple years with an investment banker to put a fund together to buy coaching companies.
Okay.
And we worked very hard. We had decks and pitches, like here, we were pitching people, going. And my partner was brilliant. He's already raised money many times. I would come in, I would be the CEO and buy up different coaching companies and create. There's no really big coaching company out there.
Okay.
$1 billion value. There's a couple, but there's plenty.
Okay.
So we finally met somebody, long story short, a guy with $2 billion who we met in Brickell, Miami. I remember the day. And he said, this sounds great. It's amazing. Here's your first 50, we want to give you your first 50 million and go look for a company to buy. And that day I drove home and I was depressed because I didn't want to be a CEO. I didn't want to be involved in investment banking. And yes, it could be, look, there's great coaching out there, but there's also, I didn't want to be involved just making money. I knew, because if I do that, it'll be a 10-year project.
Right.
They're going to pay me very well.
Right.
I could build this, right, I have all this money to build this big company. But I realized, no. What I really want to do is help entrepreneurs who are trying to make a difference in the world and help them grow their companies. Instead of building a $100 million company, I realized if I take 25, what I call them change agents, 25 small business CEOs who want to change something in the world. Because I want to change, I want to affect the ocean, I want to check the world of work, mental health. I want to help everybody.
Right.
But I can't do it.
Right.
But I can have other CEOs do it and I can help them. So that day I realized, I have to say no to this 50 million and I have to start this nonprofit and I have to find my first 25 change agents, small business CEOs who have one, or they already maybe have companies, $1, $6, $8 million, take them all to 100 million. And I'll be part of, 25 companies times 100 million.
Right.
It's 2.5 billion.
Yeah.
That can have an effect on changing the world, right? Doesn't matter what side you're on the political spectrum, what you believe in, the world's in trouble.
Yeah.
The world needs entrepreneurs to change the world.
Agree. Yeah.
It's up to us.
Yes.
We can move fast. We can change things.
Yes.
Government, they won't do it.
Yeah.
It's entrepreneurs who can do it.
Right.
So that's why I decided to do that. And I was depressed and, I was very diplomatic about saying no to the money, but I said no to 50 million.
Tough. Yeah, tough. That was a tough
hurts.
one. Yeah.
It hurts. And the guy had 2 billion.
Yeah.
So I'm very nervous now. They're going to hear this. I can't promote this podcast to anybody. I know. Please don't promote this. But I had to really let them down in a diplomatic way and realize, no, that was my test actually from God. That was my test. Andy, are you going to just go make money now, and take a $250,000 salary and get 50 million? Or are you going to do what you're here meant to do, is help entrepreneurs change the world?
Wow.
So that was about a year and a half ago.
Wow. What an amazing story.
Thank you.
Now, when, as an entrepreneur, to get to the point, as an entrepreneur, when you are setting up your company, you look projections, balance sheets, you go out and sell. How much important is to take spirituality in the planning of your own company as an entrepreneur, even if it's family business or by yourself? Should we be paying attention to spirituality component when we are structuring the company?
I would say, well, obviously yes, right? Because I have an institute that works on that. But for a lot of people, spirituality, what does it mean? Because we're different religions, some people aren't religious. I have clients who are atheists who I consider spiritual. Okay, so you have to look at what you have to discover, because everybody is sent here, I believe, by the light, by God, to do a certain mission. And it's very important for you when you're creating your company to dig deep, go inside and figure out, what are you here to change? It could be something small. It could be changing, the manufacture of this table, making it more eco.
Right.
Could be, but so you have to discover that. What are your values?
Very important.
Also, what are your values?
Yeah.
And for sure, when I work with clients, the first thing I do is work on their purpose, their mission, and their values. When you die, when you go, when you're 120 years old and you die, what do you want written on your tombstone?
Yeah.
What are the values? And it's very important for companies don't have an ad agency create your values for you.
That's very important.
A lot of people do. Create my branding. No, branding is internal. True branding, I believe, is your soul's brand.
Wow.
It's your soul's brand. Your soul has a brand. And I actually have a process called soul branding. I do with CEOs to discover their internal brand, their true brand. And when they discover their brand, super important then to make it part of your company. Be out about it. Don't hide. And only hire for sure when you're the first 1, 2, 10 hires. They have to be aligned with your values and your soul. They have to be the same kind of people, or it's not going to work.
Now, I'm wondering, excuse me that I
Sure.
interrupt you, but I'm wondering the face of an executive that is learning this for the first time. That has been in business successfully. I'm imagining the eyes and the expression on their faces. What is the reaction after they hear you? To soul branding. What is the reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I talk to people. If they're not really open to that, I call it their why. I call it something else. It's your why. Why are you here? But I've discovered again that we were talking about this earlier. The more successful an entrepreneur is or an executive, the more success they've had.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the more empty they feel, because people who made all the money, they have 4 homes, they have 18 cars. They have everything. They don't have to strive anymore. They feel emptier. They feel the reason we have problems in the world is a spiritual emptiness that people have in the world.
Very important.
It's not money. It's not resources. Look, I'm so excited to be in Guatemala. I mean, look at all the resources. Where was this country 25 years ago? Today, it's like Europe, but better weather.
Yeah.
Like a beautiful European city, in France, just better weather.
Yeah.
Amazing. So resources we have.
Yes.
The physical things we have. So when I talk to people, actually the more successful they are, the more they're open to it. They're like, yeah, that's what I've been missing. I feel a lack of fulfillment in my life. It's easy it's harder actually for me to talk to middle managers and people striving in the middle sphere, assistant managers. Mm-hmm. Those people they don't want to talk about spiritual. It's weird in corporations. They just want to get to the next level. So either I had great success with college students who are idealistic. College students still want to change the world. And then they get into corporate America and they, become a cog in the wheel.
And the rhythm, yes.
They just become a worker.
Yeah.
But then when they become successful, again, they're like, I'm a senior vice president, or I own this company. I just had an exit. Some of the saddest people I've ever met are people who had these, incredible exits. They had these incredible exits. They have all the money in the world. They're like, what am I doing with my life? Is it only about... That's why you see the richest people, what do they do when they make all their money? Bill Gates. They start giving it away.
Yeah.
Even that doesn't solve it. They think, if I give enough money, there's a spiritual emptiness.
Right.
And so today, people are spiritually hungry. We can freely talk about spirituality. Pretty much, it's not weird anymore. It's not weird to say you're spiritual. It's a very exciting time. So this world has 2 ways to go. Either we'll go, like we see if you watch the news, it's very depressing, right?
Yeah.
If you follow the news, where are we going? Or we can go the other way, which is bringing people together with shared values and, love thy neighbor as thyself, right? Such a simple thing.
Yeah.
We can go that way, and there's plenty of people who are open, and that's where my institute comes in, to make it okay for people to say, love thy neighbor as thyself. What can we do for the world? Mm-hmm. How can we share? I just shared with my friend, one of my clients. He's in the U.S. He's a very successful entrepreneur, and there's a government shutdown, and so people aren't getting WIC, their food stamps. They're not getting. There's the U.S. right, such a rich country. Yeah. 30 million people or more get food stamps. They can't afford food. Yeah. And he posted a video. He's out there in the grocery store. You know what? He's like, I don't care. I don't want to get into politics. He's basically saying, I have a little money. I'm going to buy a bunch of food, and I'm going to give it out to people. I'm going to go to the poor areas of my town. Yeah. That's a CEO. Mm-hmm. That's a real CEO. Spiritual. Mm-hmm. He's going to do right.
Connected, yeah.
Connected. Mm-hmm. He's going to do right. He was in this big, they look like Costco, these big places. Yeah. He's taking a video, and he says, that's what we got to do. And so it's like a good virus. There's a virus that's negative, that's full of doubt and uncertainty in the world. Yeah. And then there's people like that who share this great message. Mm-hmm. Hey, there's problems in this country. If you have a little bit of time, a little bit of money, you could solve it. Right. And he's spreading this message. Amazing. Is he going to solve food insecurity for the whole country? No. But he can do it a little bit in his town. Yeah. And so that's that's practical spirituality.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Now, you are in a different country right now, different ecosystem for sure. Just to get to the end of our conversation, you have taught to MBAs, probably to BAs, you have taught to executives, you work your own companies, you sold your own companies. So you are in a position to give us advice to create companies to start from scratch. This country, this Guatemalan ecosystem, it's rich in the willingness of strive and go forward, to move forward. So can you give us, from your life perspective, a professional perspective, advices on how to start the entrepreneurs, which is the effort, which is, we talk about values, we talk about spirituality, we talk about numbers, not that much, but we thought about balance the.
I talk a lot about numbers.
Yeah, but
big part of it.
yeah, I would like to hear some advices for those who are thinking on start, or thinking not to go corporate life as you did, and avoid the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But start a business.
Well, I mean, I would say there's only so much. When people are in a little country, little ecosystem,
right,
they get very comfortable. And so one of the things I encourage people to do is try to go into the global market, because and you're so close, right? The US and Canada, they're right here. And it's 1,000 times bigger.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of great products here, and a lot of thoughtful products, thoughtful people trying to do good in the world. But what I would try, but it's very easy to get stuck in a small country, and you can make your $1 million or $2 million, and you're okay. But if you have great ideas, I encourage you, because I see here, it's there's technologies here. I was in Cayala, and it's like this green city. There's things here that we don't have in Miami. We're behind because it takes so long to get things going. I started the first 24/7 gym in a health desert in Boston.
Okay.
And it took 4 years to start. It took so long because of bureaucracy and all this. So if you have a great idea, I encourage you to explore global markets, because we need the energy of these emerging markets. The large markets are kind of they're stale in a way. So that would be my advice. Now, be patient. The advice is be patient. Very easy to build a business here because you don't have as much competition. In the US, no matter what you do, you'll have 1,000 other companies doing the same thing.
Right.
So you have to it's not that if you have a great product, you can win and you can compete. You have to have patience. But the thing I would tell people, if you have a great product, especially if it's related with sustainability, something with eco, something that's going to help the world, take it to places like the US.
Again, values, what you were saying.
Correct. Yeah, but take it with your great values, those companies, take them to the US, because we need that. We need almost like a boost from these emerging economies. So it's, in a way, you don't know what you have. You don't appreciate what you have here. All this energy, right? In the last 10, 15 years, all this energy in Guatemala, take it to Miami, take it to New York, take it to Chicago. Just be patient.
Yeah.
You're not going to be an instant overnight success.
Yeah.
But we need it, and we have so that would be my advice. Go for it. Really go for it. The world needs this.
Well, I heard yesterday from one of the speakers that you might need to have a no collections. As an answers, as entrepreneur, you're trying, and first time you get a no, second time you get a no, so a big no collection.
Yup.
Yeah. So I heard what you're saying. So Andy, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
For being here,
my honor.
Coming to Guatemala, taking your time. If people would like to connect with you and with Institute, is there a way they will be?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just go to spiritualbiz.org.
All right.
Spiritualbizbiz.org. They can find me there. They can find me on LinkedIn, Andrew Grinbaum. you know, LinkedIn is a great way. I think we're all hopefully on LinkedIn, except you.
Yeah, that's
The last person not on LinkedIn, everybody. The last person in the world.
I'm
in
still
business.
alive. Yeah. Well, thank you before cameras. Thank you for your
Thanks so much, guys.
For your
Appreciate
presence as well. Amigos de Disrupt Fest 2025, ha sido una conversación muy grata con Andy acerca de la espiritualidad en negocios. Los esperamos y podemos continuar con el programa. Gracias.
Thanks, guys.